I think every single person in this locker room is a competitor at the highest level. So, yeah, when you feel as if your backs are against the wall, you never have to feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Unbelievable throw. Under pressure. Sacked by Quinnen Williams. Right sideline, Uzama's got it.
You look to your left and your right, you got guys out there with you that our whole point is to help each other.
This one to Mims. That's Corey Davis climbing the ladder.
To be able to go out and lead these guys, just to know how hard these guys work and how important it is to them, and then you get that chance to lead them. Everything that happened that needed to happen for us, it almost felt like kind of like a sign, like give it like a second chance almost.
Gets extra pushes, running left.
Maybe a little extra life breathing in the locker room.
Touchdown Jets.
Welcome to Jets Talk. My name is Ryan. I am at a satellite location. The cockpit has burned down. It's in flames right now. No, I have no power at my house right now. And I'm freaking out that this Aaron Rodgers news could drop at any second. So I was like, I'm going to hop in the car. I'm going to go to Becca's mom's house. She's got power. She's got internet. And now I'm posted up right here. And I have most of my stuff. But, this whole day is stressful. I don't know when power comes back on. I was going to try and use my hotspot to upload that video before. And as soon as I clicked upload, it said an hour and 45 minutes to upload a 2-minute video. I was like, this is not going to work. It's not okay. So I'm here at the satellite location. Look, you can see the snow outside. Bam. Lots of fun. So you guys are getting a little fun for a Saturday morning. Man, yeah, so the Jets have restructured DJ Reed, Tyler Conklin, and Laken Tomlinson, making way for $15.2 million in salary cap space. Aaron Rodgers' cap hit, if traded, is $15.74 million. Very, very exciting. But the Jets are going to have to make moves anyway, because we were over the cap. We were about $1.4 million over the cap. So making these moves at the very least gets you under the cap for the start of the new league year. So in conjunction with a Rodgers move, you kind of had to do that regardless. Now, I do expect some more to be coming. C.J. Mosley, I think, is one of the primary ones that you're kind of keeping an eye on. But I love that they restructured these guys, especially DJ Reed and Conklin, because I thought Reed was phenomenal. I thought he was our best free agent pickup this past year. Tyler Conklin left a lot to be desired, but you could see the wow plays like almost there. Like he had a few fumbles, a few drops. I think maybe with some better quarterback play, kind of settle the nerves down a little bit, I think you could see a very big year from him. And Laken Tomlinson, that one's maybe the more surprising of all of them, but I think when you bank on him being a Pro Bowler from 2 years ago, you're hoping he returns to form with a little stability on the offensive line. So retaining him on a restructured deal and giving him this year and next year, at least we know our offensive line in some capacity. Like, AVT and Tomlinson are locked in. You got Brown at least for this year, Becton at least for this year, and then you still got to figure out the center. Ben Jones is a popular name for a few people because of our offensive line coaches from Tennessee. It's an easy swap to maybe bring him in, get a veteran center for someone like Aaron Rodgers. Ben Jones is pretty old, though, so I'm not too sure where he stacks up. Let me see. How old is he actually? So he's 33 years old, so that's actually not too bad. Because I was talking about Lindsley, and Lindsley was 32 years old. So this would make a lot of sense if they would go that route. What are you guys talking about in the chat? Chris Romaine opens up $15 million salary cap space. Love it. James says, Mike fucking White, baby. Mims will flourish this year. I hope so. Where are you to have a blizzard? No snow here, Ryan. So I'm in northern New Jersey, close to New York. Not New York City, but I'm in the Sussex County, Orange County area of the map. And we have 5 to 6 inches of snow. And my house has lost power a few times. So now now I got to worry about getting a generator at some point because I can't have this happen consistently. This is frustrating. But luckily we have a wood burning stove, so I loaded that full of fire, Shea and Beck are hanging out over there. So it's not too shabby. Fresh says free agents signing soon. Dylan says, got your coffee, Ryan? No, I completely forgot. And I don't have power, so I couldn't make coffee before anyway. Oh well, that's all right. I'm juiced up on no sleep, I think. I stopped streaming at 12 o'clock, start streaming at 9:30 again. This has to happen soon. Zach says, Jimmy G to the Dolphins, stays healthy all year, takes them to the conference championship where they lose to the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets. You heard it here first. That would be interesting. I get the feeling that Jimmy G doesn't want to follow one of the Shanahan disciples. Like, as much as he knows Mike McDaniel and the whole system and everything, the whole optics of Shanahan trying to toss him out the last 2.5 years makes me feel like he's probably going to opt to go a different coaching tree. And maybe return back to someone like Josh McDaniels, who didn't want to get rid of him when he was traded to San Francisco. So that would be my guess on that. I could see him in Miami, but I don't think they're going to go after a vet quarterback. Dave says, so why was Houston able to sign Robert Woods before free agency? Because he was released. The only times you're able to sign free agents ahead of time are if they are released from their contract, because the new league year starts on March 15th, and that's when contracts end. So any player on an expiring contract cannot be signed until March 15th, but anyone who's released, like Derek Carr, for instance, is able to sign with any team they want. And since Woods was cut, that's why that happened. William says, Ryan, you look about 5 days older than when you did when this whole Rodgers watch started. Yeah. I would say 5 years older at this point. 5 days is a generous thing. Mr. Matt O'Leary, what's up, dude? He says, no snow on Long Island, just some rain. Good luck, sir. Yeah, dude, I'm hoping it kicks back on. JCP&L is saying 11-ish o'clock is the tentative time, and then I can hop back over. Fingers crossed. John says Stroud is going to go number 1, Panthers trading up. I think it's possible. I think it's either him or Richardson. He would be the best quarterback with prototypical size, where Bryce Young would be like the best quarterback overall. But I don't think anyone's trading up and giving up that much for someone who's 5'10" in the NFL. That feels like a lot to do on that swing. There's a difference in taking like a Kyler Murray at number 1 when you own the number 1 pick, and taking someone like a Kyler Murray or a Bryce Young when you trade up a bunch of picks to go get him. So I think it's either going to be Stroud with like the big frame, or it's going to be Richardson with the massive metrics and everything. I could see Frank Reich and saying like, hey, I can do anything with that athlete. I know I can mold him. I'm that good of a coach. My betting money would be on Richardson because of how he blew up the combine, but they have another like month and a half to figure out who they want. There's going to be pro days and all this different stuff, so I don't know if it's necessarily fully locked in. Joe has got some sleep, brother. I'm off today. I like talking to you guys. I can't do any work. I'm so unproductive until this news drops that it's just kind of where I'm at this point. Moose City says, how we feeling? Is today the day? I hope so. I'm not overly optimistic that it's going to happen today because it's a Saturday. I feel like Rodgers is going to want to have like the whole news cycle about him. So my guess would be it either happens tomorrow night or just before like the tampering period starts. I hope. I don't want this to go into like a week from now, 2 weeks from now. Like it's got to happen soon. I'm chomping at the bit. Matt says, I just can't imagine my heart if he retires. Dude, if he retires and he leaves $110 million on the table because he doesn't want to play for the Jets, I'm going to lose my cool. I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. John agrees. Nobody would trade that much for an undersized guy. Yeah, it's all about projecting the size and the like where he could be. Now, Bryce Young could be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Who knows? But historically speaking, that size has not led to that outcome. And that's why you see, metrics go higher in draft as opposed to, maybe college success. I mean, it goes hand in hand, but if someone's overly short, you may see it go the other way. Ryan, you have my vote this year for Sports Emmy for your tireless pursuit of Rodgers. Oh, dude. The entire Jet world between Twitter and like Facebook and YouTube and all the content guys, the amount of content and like reporting that guys are doing, it's incredible. So much better than like the actual ESPN and the major news networks. It's fun. Noah says, sign Darnold. First 4 years, let A-Rod cook for 2 or 3. Sign Darnold for 4 years. I really like Darnold. I kind of hope he goes to San Francisco under Shanahan. That'd be kind of cool. Army men, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. I love me some Sam Darnold. I don't think he's coming back, though. That would be kind of surprising. Carl Bananas says, are the Dolphins going to go for Lamar? Right now, no. But maybe after the draft. I could see a situation. I don't know if there's a deadline for when you need to sign your offer sheets by. Because I know Lamar, he could not sign the offer sheet until like close to the season if he wanted to. And then I guess that would put him in a weird spot. Then Miami could get him maybe in a situation where Tua does get hurt in preseason or something like that. Welcome aboard, Don. Thank you for joining the channel. Craig, you as well. Thank you, sir. Moose City says, as the days go on, it doesn't make me feel good. He's already a millionaire. I could see him just saying, I'm done. Yeah, that's the one panic. As things start to keep going. Now, that's coming from the fan side of things. The Jets and the brass, they may feel he's coming regardless. They may know, like, hey, he's not retiring. We're going to hammer this out regardless. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. We're going to operate our free agency as if he is going to be here. I don't mind that. As long as they know he's going to be here. I mean, it's a big risk if he's, like, still contemplating retirement. I would like to believe they know he's coming. It's just a matter of, like, really figuring it all out and they're waiting. But I would like to believe it's going to happen, like, real soon. I don't think our hearts can take this anymore. Brian Bogan, what if we bring in Rodgers and Darnold and trust him to improve the expectations more than Wilson? I don't think that's going to happen. We traded away Darnold and drafted his replacement. It would be really weird if you brought back Darnold to replace the replacement that he replaced. That would be pretty impressive. That would be some 4D chess, if I do say so myself. Kevin says, constantly refreshing Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. I got my ESPN and Bleacher Report notifications on. LOL. Getting like 3 hours since Rodgers news hit. Yeah, dude. I woke up today and I was like, oh man, we're restructuring. It's all part of the move. Duncan says, Ryan, I've seen you so much these last few days that I've moved in. I appreciate the content and thoughts. Of course, dude. Glad you guys are hanging out. Means a lot. Really does. It's fun. I wouldn't be doing this if you guys weren't hanging out with me. Joe S. says, thanks for all your hard work, Ryan. Aaron Rodgers is coming. Fingers crossed. I don't want to count my chickens. As much as I feel like 95, 99% sure that this is happening, if I start counting chickens, he's going to retire. I know how it works. Mr. Flashy comes in, says, his ego is big and he thinks about a lot of stuff. Do you think he wants to retire and be in the same Hall of Fame class as Brady, not being the main guy? No, that's been the biggest thing, but it's also been my biggest concern because there are rumors and like little things people are kind of talking about as far as Brady maybe coming back for like San Francisco or Miami, in which case that opens up the stage for Aaron Rodgers for a retirement. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play. I think Brady is going to retire. I don't think he's going to do the whole flip-flop thing. It would have to be like a really outlandish sort of thing to happen in like the end of August or September for Brady to come back. And I think we'll know about Rodgers before then. But man, could you imagine a situation where he's just like, yeah, no, screw it. I'm done. Going to sleep. Not gonna do this football thing anymore. Gonna take a nap. Did 18 years of this. No, I really hope he gets this all squared away, figured out, and his ego and personality with like being thrown out of Green Bay gets him to light a fire under his butt. Like I almost like it's like imagine if the Jets went in there to the Packers and they're like, hey, yeah, we're going to trade for him, but we want, in order for you to get this trade package that we have agreed on, we need to piss off Aaron Rodgers as much as possible because we want him at his best. We want you guys to say all the wrong stuff. We'll get him off your plate, and like that would be amazing. I want a motivated Rodgers, and that's what I kind of feel like we're getting here. John says, biggest kick in the nuts is if he retires. Not going to lie, I'm prepping myself a little for it. I don't want to. I don't want to prep myself. I don't want to think that. Positive vibes only. If Rodgers is honestly still considering retirement, he should have played football next year. I don't know if he's constantly thinking retirement. I think he knows. I think he's just waiting to make the announcement. Leary says, Darnold, Jesus Christ, we're down bad. Yeah. When you get to this point where maybe Rodgers may or may not happen and we're trying to think of stuff, everyone's going a little loopy and nutty. Ooh, Elon says, I live down here in Charlotte. It is leaning towards Stroud. Stroud at number 1. People here are, what's that word? Are upset? Maybe is that supposed to be upset at how much the Panthers gave up? Hey, I mean, you got to jump your division rival, and you have to beat what other teams are offering. And you're probably the lowest team that the Bears were willing to go down to, I would think. As much as that's a lot to give up, because they traded Christian McCaffrey, it allows them that little bit of flexibility. They still have a second-round pick this year. I still think they're going to go Stroud. I still think they're going to go Richardson. The metrics are just so massive, but I could see Stroud too. I like Stroud. Stroud would be my QB1, I think. At least they have another month to figure it out. NY Cursor says Aaron has enough money. However, yesterday's announcement makes it harder to walk away. Mark Murphy's basically said, we run Border Town that needs a slapdown. Yeah, I want Rodgers pissed off. I like it. Oh, Dante, thank you for joining, dude. How much do you think JD and Salah talked to Zach about this? I think they probably had a discussion with Zach. I think he knows Rodgers has been the plan for a while. I think that's why Zach's on vacation right now. What I heard is Zach is down in, I heard Cabo. I don't know if that's right. I heard he's in like Mexico or something like that. So maybe they told him like, hey, why don't you get away for a little bit? Stay off your phone. Like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on because you got literally the entire world talking about Aaron Rodgers to the Jets and what it could possibly mean. I can't imagine it's really helping the confidence, but we got 2 years to build that up. He can sit behind Rodgers. I think he understands where he's at this point, and he probably doesn't mind taking a little bit of a backseat given all like the blowback that happened the last season. Cyrus, could you imagine if Brady did go to the AFC East? Rodgers, Brady, and Josh Allen all in one division. And then Mac Jones, right? Why isn't Mac Jones included into that? You saying he's not a good quarterback? Moose City says, I do think Darnold would have gotten us to the playoffs last year. Looking back at his years with us, the team around us sucked. Yeah, I always liked Darnold. Personality-wise, I really like Darnold more than Zach. I think from a athletic standpoint, I do like Zach more. I think Zach has a really nice throw when he has his metric, or when he has all his his footing under him and has time to throw. But I like Sam. I like his demeanor. I like his, he's calm. He's almost like an Eli where it's nothing was going to shake him and he wasn't going to say anything bad. He said everything right, on his way out. I would love a situation where you bring back Sam. I just don't see how it makes any sort of sense with Douglas here after trading him and then sending him to Carolina. TP Jet 62 with his first super chat. Thank you, dude. says, I fully understand having Aaron Rodgers here doesn't guarantee a Super Bowl, but playoffs and respectability would be a great move forward after last season. Yeah, I think you have to start winning games if you're the New York Jets. You need to start flipping this narrative and getting the best quarterback you could possibly get for your young team that needs to learn how to win and learn how to have success. It's really important. And you may not necessarily win a Super Bowl this year, but maybe it happens next year because of the experience you gain in the playoffs this year with all your young guys. I think that's entirely possible, but I do think it's possible you win a Super Bowl this year. You look at Tom Brady switching from the Patriots to the Bucks. You look at Peyton Manning going from the Colts to the Broncos. You look at Stafford going from the Lions to the Rams. All three of them won Super Bowls with their new teams. And Aaron Rodgers, the last time he had a top 10 defense, he won the Super Bowl. So the Jets were top 5 in defense last year. So if you can retain that defense and try to get it at least in the top 10 again, I think you're going to have a really highly motivated Aaron Rodgers. Imagine you got his like MVP caliber years the last few years and added a top 10 defense to it. That's scary. But yeah, we'll get some respectability. If we don't get Rodgers, the thing that's going to tick me off the most is the media's just going to run with it. And we're going to have like so much egg on our face, and people are just going to be like, oh, it's same old Jets. Aaron Rodgers turned down $110 million. He couldn't even do that to play for the Jets. It's like, man, I can see the narrative spinning, and I don't I don't want that. I want to have a respectable team I could be proud of. I want other people to be proud of it. I know you should only worry about yourself, but I want other fans to look at the Jets and not think we're a laughingstock. We've been a laughingstock for so long. I'm done with that. Let's win some games. You could be the difference, Ryan. Get A-Rod a golf membership. A-Rod, you come up, I'll hook you up with a round of golf. Whenever you want. 100%. As long as I'm there. I'd be like, hey, where'd he go? Oh, sorry, he's not in today. Nah, my guys would probably comp Aaron Rodgers. I would hope so. I'd be upset if they didn't. What's up, C. Watson? Welcome to the channel. Alan says, Rob V. I get the 2 number 1s and 2 number 2s, but trading their number 1 wide receiver was beyond stupid. So that's the Panthers trade. That's interesting because I put DJ Moore at a 1st and 3rd round pick value for him. So in a sense, they gave up 3 1s, 2 2s, and a 3rd, if you're looking at it that way. Now, the reason I say Richardson could be an option is because Frank Reich really did like Sam Darnold. He tried to trade for him while he was in Indianapolis. So I could see a situation where Reich wants to run it back with Sam right now. They try to sign him, but then they have a situation where they're like, oh, hey, Richardson's going to come in and he's going to sit for a few years. It doesn't make sense to necessarily pay $20 million a year for DJ Moore. Let's get the most value out of him now and draft a receiver, maybe this year to groom with your young quarterback. They do have a 2nd round pick, the Panthers do. Maybe if Jackson Smith-Njigba falls far enough, maybe that's a situation where they pair like a CJ Stroud with his former teammate. I don't know if he falls that far, but I know what you're saying. I think that's probably the stressor that a few Panthers fans have. That's a lot to give up, but to get your quarterback after missing on, I think they were in on Stafford, they were in on Watson. Like, you just got to end it. You got to get it figured out. Sergeant CVO says, you got snow, we all got rain. Yeah, when you're up in altitude in North Jersey, you are we're right on the other side of the mountain range. I live near Mountain Creek, so they're probably pretty happy. They didn't have a whole lot of snow before. But yeah, we got I would say 4 or 5 inches of snow, maybe. They were calling 3 to 6. Multiple NFL teams predict that no one will make an offer for the Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, per Fowler. Yeah, that sucks. Lamar Jackson has miscalculated his market, and no team wants to try and draw up the contract and do the legwork for the Ravens. That sucks. If I were Lamar, I would not play. I would just sit and wait. I could see a team waiting till after the draft. Because then you're giving up a 2024 and 2025 pick. Imagine if the Falcons make their number 8 pick, and then they go in and they write an offer sheet for some absurd amount of money this year for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens can't actually match it. I could see that happening. As much as they say they're out on him now, I could see them being in on him after the draft. Moose City. If we get 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions this season from Rodgers, and the D plays like they did last year, it's a Super Bowl, to be honest. Yeah, I threw $100 on Jets winning the Super Bowl this year, and I don't want to say I'm feeling confident, but I don't ever bet on that. That's not something I usually do. I'm excited. I'll put it that way. Very, very excited. And my cursor says Panthers trade the number one receiver was a sweetener. Fields got a weapon now, even before the draft. Tells the Bears they can't lose this deal. Yeah, I think what's nice is they now have Mooney, they have DJ Moore, they have Chase Claypool that they've added in this last year, and I think you give Fields a ton of weapons to work with. Like, if he's going to work out, this is the year you're going to see the jump. He's got all the weapons. There's no excuses. And now you have a bunch of draft picks in conjunction with that, where if you feel like you need to pull the plug or move him because you're in position to get a quarterback next year, you could at least do that. I like this Bears trade a lot. They got a haul for the number one pick. The Badger Trio says, Aaron Rodgers coming. He just got fuel after awful comments from the team president, pretty much saying we're tossing him to the curb. As an owner, I wish I could fire him. Yeah, you got so you're one of the Green Bay owners of I don't know, like a little document that says you're part owner. That's cool. I wish the Jets would do that. Yeah, I feel like the comments made by Mike Murphy yesterday weren't anything like overly bad, and I feel like you only make those comments if the trade package is totally ironed out. Like, it's got to be totally complete for them to, like, shoot themselves in the foot like that. And I think it's just got to be Rodgers just announcing he's coming back. But I think he is going to be motivated more by hearing it. Hope so. Rob V says, Jalen Hyatt has superstar potential. He's the one receiver I think I really like this year, but I don't particularly want to go rookie receiver. I would prefer to go with a vet with Rodgers coming in. Rusty Pages says, Ryan, Frank Reich seems like he would be more of a fan of C.J. Stroud and not Richardson. Richardson is definitely a high-risk, high-reward player. I think if he's there for Seattle at number 5, I would take him. But I just feel like with his metrics and coaches being the way they are, I could see them saying, like, oh, I can make him into that. But I do think Stroud fits the prototypical quarterback more than Richardson right now. Like, you may have to build an entire offense around Richardson and have him just, run it kind of like you did with Lamar to start, how you're sort of seeing with Fields now. Lean on his athletic gifts now, and then, hopefully he develops into a passer as he goes. Citybird says, I think OBJ is not taking a discount. That's okay. I don't need him here. It's cool. I mean, I would be pumped if we got him because I think he is a fantastic wide receiver. I think he's a little bit of a head case, but I think the amount of headaches could be lessened by having phenomenal quarterback play. I mean, his best quarterback he's ever played with is probably Matthew Stafford. Eli at times maybe, but like, I don't know. I really like the if he comes here with Rodgers, I think Rodgers would have to get him in line, and it would be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we act. We're going for a Super Bowl. I need you dialed in. I think if Rodgers does that, I think it sort of carries a little more weight, maybe. John says, do you ski? I go to Mountain Creek. Sometimes. Yeah, I ski and I snowboard. I used to work at Mountain Creek for a little bit. I was there for actually a bunch of it. I was there for a long time. I went up to Hunter a few weeks ago. That was fun. And my cursor, I don't think Lamar overestimated his worth. A decision has been made by the owners not to give in to his demands for everyone's benefit. I don't want to claim collusion, but it definitely feels like that. Like, it feels very similar to the Kaepernick situation where it wasn't said And I don't think any of the owners necessarily said it, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, hey, it's bad for business. Like if we guarantee Lamar this much money, we're going to have to guarantee that much money to Burrow and Herbert and all these other like guys coming up. And I think they're trying to nix that as best they can, because you don't want to overpay drastically for a quarterback that you think may not be able to stay healthy. And that's where that whole little piece of the Lamar and the collusion thing falls apart, is Lamar's health is still enough of a question mark that it gives them plausible deniability. Nick T, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. But yeah, I do think there's something squirrely going on. Anthony D, Ryan, you're about to implode. Don't drink any coffee. I haven't had any coffee yet today because my power went out. That's why I'm on my satellite location. This is outside snow, knocked out power at the cockpit. Had to make an emergency landing here. Yeah, so that's why we got the different background today. Seabird says, how far do Matt and Greenbean and you all live from each other? Ooh, far. Matt's on Long Island. I'm in Jersey, and Greenbean's in Virginia. So we are not close. Matt and I usually link up for the like green and white scrimmage or something early on, and then the three of us will link up for week 1 of the football season. But other than that, every Tuesday is when we're hanging. Mr. Flashy says, I can only see Adam or OBJ if we get Aaron Rodgers and he wanted one of those people to come in with him. If that happens, I'll be fine. They are both great players. I agree. I would say I think it's a lot less likely that Davante Adams is moved. I think he's definitely staying in Vegas. If I were the Raiders, I would bring in Jimmy G, try to win and have success with Davante Adams, with Josh Jacobs, all those guys. I don't think you franchise tag Josh Jacobs to allow Davante Adams to leave. That feels like that would be a bad move. Salman says, I thought you lived in Florida. My parents live in Florida. I don't. I'm in Jersey. I've lived in New York, New Jersey my whole life. Chris Murphy, welcome aboard. Glad to have you. I'll be your pilot today. Chris Romaine, I'm hoping this happens this afternoon. I'm going to a family party, and there's a Packers fan that's going to be there, and I want to do a discount double check on him. Just, yeah, that'll probably be the move, right? As soon as the Rodgers news drops, discount double check. Let's go. Oh, God. Mr. Flashy says, I meant Adam Thielen, not... Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. That's my bad. I was thinking last names when I heard Adam. Yeah, no, Adam Thielen, I like that. I think Adam Thielen makes the most sense for us to bring in because he's a free agent. I don't really want to trade for a vet. I think you can get a really good one in on a low contract that's going to be hungry and wants to win a Super Bowl. Keep your assets and still continue to build the team. So I'm sort of out on trading for players unless Rodgers is very for a specific player. Joe S says, as much as I want Aaron Rodgers, you can't make him the GM. No, you don't necessarily make him the GM, but I think you go to him and you say, hey, look, we want to give you the Brady treatment. You've been in the league 18 years. That's more experience than most, coaches and coordinators and things of that nature. And you've seen more on the field. You've done more than most people in the NFL have ever done. I think you can feel confident leaning on his opinion on certain things. And if he wants certain players, I think you fold to it. I think we've been in a situation where we haven't had a quarterback in 50, 60 years. There's no reason not to let Aaron Rodgers play GM for 2 years. Joe Douglas isn't going to do anything that's going to mortgage or tear apart the future. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to demand something absolutely insane that causes the Jets to do that either. I think he's going to bring in guys that he wants. I think the contract structures of a lot of those players were favorable in such a way that if Rodgers wanted to leave after, the 1 year in Green Bay this past year, it would have actually worked out. I do think Bakhtiari is probably less likely to come at this point now that he's restructured there. I think Cobb makes a lot of sense. Jesse, welcome aboard. I'll be your pilot. Buckle up. We're hitting some turbulence. I had to make a crash landing down the road. Citybird says, what is our strength of schedule this year? It's one of the hardest right now, but it's weird because they're going off of last year's records for strength of schedule. But there's going to be so many teams that are drastically different. I mean, I'm not thinking of our teams that we're playing right now off the cuff, but teams like, Baltimore, Lamar may not be there. Green Bay, Rodgers may not be there. Stafford may have back problems. Like, you don't know how this landscape's going to change over these next few months. Injuries, draft picks, regression, progression. So right now the Jets, as it stands, have one of the hardest strength of schedules, but I could see it shaking out a little bit more favorably once things kind of settle down. And with Aaron Rodgers, I would have 100% faith we could win any game, especially with this defense. There's not one player in this league right now that I'm afraid to go up against with this defense. It was Tyreek Hill initially, and I think maybe with Tua there is some little part of me that is a little concerned there. But I watched this defense shut down Josh Allen. I watched this defense shut down Aaron Rodgers. It's just I think this defense is really, really good. Astamar Darkstar, thank you for the super chat. It says Hudson County here, 20 minutes from the stadium. Hudson County. Oh, Hudson County. I'm thinking Hudson Valley. Hudson Valley's in New York. I was like, that's not 20 minutes from the stadium. That's a little farther. I grew up in Hudson Valley. That's awesome. 20 minutes from the stadium is pretty nice. I used to live down in Riverdale, and I was like a half hour from the stadium. That was really cool. That was nice, because then I could shoot down to the draft party and get back and make a video real quick. That's what I did with the Darnold thing. But, yeah, I don't know. I wish I was a little closer, but I like being up this way because I have a little more property. We got a little over an acre of property. If I were to stay down in Riverdale, it would have cost me an arm and a leg to get the same size, setup. Anthony D. Ryan, do you think the Jets Super Bowl would prompt Woody to finally sever ties with that horrid stadium? That would be cool. I hadn't really thought of that. I know there's an opt-out at some point, 25 maybe or 26. I don't think they're going to build another stadium, though. I don't think they want more competition for events, and I think the cost factor in, one, building a stadium, and two, being able to split utilities right now and operating expenses is super valuable in this part of the country, because everything's really expensive up here. Venom says, Connor Hughes reporting. Deal is done. Just waiting on Rodgers to approve. I feel like no one's necessarily reporting anything legitimate anymore. I feel like everyone's the deal is done. I feel like that's been the story for the last few days now. Yeah, Ogre, I agree. He says, restructuring Laken is the biggest telltale sign that Rodgers is coming. Laken has been subpar, and there isn't any other reason to make yourself tied to him. I completely agree. I think that is a dead lock that you're getting a veteran quarterback that doesn't want to put up with a young offensive lineman. I agree. Ryan, what's your thoughts on who has the quickest release quarterbacks from the draft? Levis gets it out of his hand fast. One of the reasons I like him. Compact throwing motion is this just optics? So I have not done as much research on the quarterbacks. I'm not gonna try and blow smoke up your what, but I like Levis. There's a lot of upside. I think if I were teams picking, he would be my fourth right now. I think he should go no further down than 7 to McDaniels and the Raiders. I think because of what we've seen in college from C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, those two should go ahead of him. And I think when you get to the mystery aspect of Levis and Richardson, I can see Richardson being such a freak athlete that he goes ahead of Levis. So I don't necessarily think Levis is worse than the other three guys, but I think because of some accolades that they have had already, and some of the little bit of mystery around Levis, I think he'll go fourth of those quarterbacks. You might see all four go in the top four. Like if it goes, like let's see if the Falcons think they're not going to go after Lamar and they want to trade up to number 3 with Arizona to get their quarterback, now you have a situation where quarterback goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I don't necessarily think this quarterback class is better than like the Zach Wilson class. I think it will ultimately be better than the Zach Wilson class because all those quarterbacks have pretty much, Trevor Lawrence looks great. Justin Fields looks like he might be really good. They're hoping to take that next leap this year, but like the rest of the draft class kind of sucks. So it's a good draft class, top heavy for sure. I like when quarterbacks go at the top because now we get more premium players at other positions go before us. So if you have the 4 quarterbacks go, maybe you can get the 1 or 2 corners to go in front of you. Maybe there's probably 1 offensive lineman. I don't know, push him down thus. I like it. Surf, what's up, dude? Thank you for the super chat. Will be super interesting to watch the power dynamic with Rodgers in a traditional ownership GM hierarchy as opposed to an organizational structure in Green Bay. Green Bay still has a GM. They still have like the head coach and everything. They just don't have like an official owner, I don't think. I think they probably have a board of people, I would think, that makes decisions. Along with everyone that has like a little certificate that deems them part owner of the Packers. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be much of an issue. I think Woody Johnson is fully on board with Rodgers. I think Douglas is fully on board with Rodgers. I think Sal is fully on board with Rodgers. And I think Sal is totally good with saying, hey, Hackett, I trust you from our time together in Jacksonville. I trust you with what you've done with Aaron Rodgers in the past. I trust you two to handle the offense entirely. I'll handle the whole overarching head coach talk, but this is going to be a team message. It's going to be a group message going forward. And Aaron Rodgers is going to be a vocal leader on this team. I think he knows exactly why he would be coming here. It's going for the ring, and I think he's going to be highly motivated. Not that he wasn't necessarily in the past, but I think when you piss someone off, you're more likely to get a little bit more out of them. Alex, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. See, Mike's out. Ryan's out west. Or no, Ryan are out west on the island. I'm towards the river. No snow down there. Yeah, I would bet there's probably no snow on the other side of the mountain. That's usually what happens. So a little insight to Mountain Creek. They make a really good amount of money when there is snow in the city and on Long Island. When there's snow just around us, but there's rain in the city, people aren't thinking snow and snow sports. Like there's always, or not always, but there's always like snow for Mountain Creek and like people to ride and everything because it's cold enough to blow snow and have the snow there. But when it's raining in the city, people aren't thinking to do that. So it's weird. It's an odd dynamic, and because of the mountain range and that weird temperature threshold, it's like a 5 degree difference. So it could be 36 degrees, in the city, but it might be 31 degrees and snowing up here. It's crazy. Where did I see that? Citybird. What's up, dude? Citybird says, did Hackett, Rodgers, or LaFleur call plays in Green Bay? I would imagine LaFleur probably did, but I could also see a situation where they're like, hey, here's 2 or 3 plays, or here's a play and here's the different variations that you could run from this play. Let's, Rodgers pick whatever one you see fit, and because the connection with your guys, you may have a tap on the side of the helmet or a nod or something like that to one of your receivers, and they see the same thing that you're seeing, and you don't even have to say a word. There's no communication other than that silent understanding. So I think LaFleur probably called plays or designed plays. Maybe Hackett called the plays, and Rodgers executed the plays and determined which ones were right when he saw the defenses that he saw. That would be my guess. Matthew! Welcome aboard, dude. I'll be your pilot today. Christian, thank you for the super chat. He says, what do you think the trade compensation will be? I've been saying for a while now, second round pick this year, conditional pick next year that could be a first if the Jets make the Super Bowl. I don't think the Packers have a crazy ton of leverage. I feel like they could have had leverage if they wanted to trade him within the NFC. If they did that, then there would be more teams jockeying for him. I'm a little surprised they didn't try to do that, and maybe that's just because he told the Packers, like, hey, it's only the Jets. And at that point, there is no leverage. It's only the Jets at that point. But yeah, I think a second and a conditional pick, I think that's what gets it done. And I think it's not necessarily a slap in the face. I do think there could be some window dressing in the trade as well. Like, if the Jets were going to cut Corey Davis, if the Jets were going to cut Carl Lawson, two players that the Packers had inquired about at one point from the New York Jets, maybe there's a situation where the Jets just tack them on to the trade, so that way when it pulls up on ESPN, they're like, oh, the Jets gave a second-round pick, a third-round pick, and a conditional third that could be a first, and they gave up Carl Lawson, a great edge rusher, and Corey Davis, a former top-5 pick. Like, those are the fluff-type trades that I think could be tacked on. Sergio says, Mark Murphy is the CEO, team president, basically acts just like an owner. There's an executive board, but Murphy makes the decisions. Yeah, that makes sense. I like that. Oh, here we go. Here's another Packer guy. Hackett was never a play caller in Green Bay. It was all Matt. Okay, so yeah, Matt called all the plays. So I guess Hackett was just there to be friends with Rodgers. What was Badger Trio, what was Hackett like in Green Bay? Like, what was his roles and his responsibilities? Because I would have thought he'd have some sort of influence on the plays, even though I know Matt LaFleur was, kind of the mastermind there. Citybert says, what is the cap savings of Carl Lawson and Corey Davis? Carl Lawson, if you cut him or trade him, is $15 million, and Corey Davis is $10.5 million. So you're talking $25.5 million with either cutting or releasing one of those, both those guys. You could restructure, drop their cap hits if you don't feel like you need to have too much extra space. That's what I would actually prefer. I would love to have Carl Lawson restructured because I hate cutting players with a year left on their contract. If you can lower his cap hit and allow him to leave after 2 years, that, or even after this year, then you get the whole possibility of a compensation pick because you are losing good players that people want to sign. If you cut them, you get tossed out of that equation altogether. So I would like to see. I could see a restructure. I could see a cut. I think Corey Davis is probably a cut. Lawson, I was more sure of. Now I'm not quite as confident. We'll see. Michael drops in with a super chat. Michael says, I think the deal could be a 2023 third, a 2024 third that turns into a second if we make the playoffs, and Corey Davis. Yeah, I agree. I think that could be what it is. I don't think it'll be a third this year though. I still think it's going to be a second this year. But I think the structure makes sense for what you're saying. I just saw a new member here. Woo, Vincent! Thank you for joining the channel, dude. Much appreciated. Hit the you got some emojis down there that you can click on. You got some JETS stuff. Check it out. Let's see. All right, so Badger says Hackett was listed as OC pretty much everything an OC does, but doesn't call the plays. Okay. I mean, if we're fine with his play calling in like Jacksonville and how that worked out, and maybe that's fine. I wonder, I feel like Rodgers is probably going to dictate what happens anyway. Like, I think he'll change the plays if he sees something different out on the field. So I guess designing the plays is probably more important than calling in certain situations, because I think they'll give Rodgers the ability to do whatever he wants at the line of scrimmage. Alex! Yeah! First time donation. Thank you so much. The deal won't get done right now, so go see Cocaine Bear. I haven't seen that movie yet. That's one that's on the list. C. Watson says, I hear Green Bay wants 3 first-round picks and David Pitney punt returner. Yeah. Sure, why not? 3 first-round picks for Rodgers. Absolutely. Sneakers to Boot says, do you think Lazard or Bakhtiari is more likely to be traded here? Cobb is probably a lock. So Cobb's actually a free agent, or he's going to be a free agent on Wednesday. His contract voids, so you don't even have to trade for him. Now, if there is a trade, they could package him in that trade as window dressing. And it could be like, oh, look at this massive trade that happened for Aaron Rodgers. And they could say, like, look, Randall Cobb went with him. Maybe they do that. I think Cobb is most likely going to end up here. I'm less confident on Bakhtiari coming back or coming over here, especially with Dwayne Brown coming back. That feels like he's the vet guy on the left-hand side. We'll draft a young dude to take over after next year or for insurance purposes. But, yeah, I don't think – I'm less confident Bakhtiari is going to come now. Oh, I see what you're saying. Lazard or Bakhtiari. I think Lazard is more likely than Bakhtiari. Lazard's a free agent, though, also. So he'd have to sign. He wouldn't – I don't know if he – I guess he could be in the trade. It'd be the same thing as Cobb before the free agency period starts. I got my wires crossed. Charles said, did we get any comps? Nope. No comp picks. We've been spending a lot in free agency, so didn't work out for us. The 49ers got 3 third-round picks for having minority coaches hired, which is awesome. That's D'Amico Ryans, Mike McDaniel, and Robert Saleh. 3 third-round picks. That's a formula there. Third-round picks are no joke. Michael says, I still think if we keep our second, we draft Antonio Johnson, Texas A&M safety. He's the Deebo Samuel of safeties. Package Davis and sign Beckham. Yeah, I like Antonio Johnson. I don't think he's gonna be there in the second round. I would trade down from 1 if possible to pick up picks, and then I would take him. He's my favorite player at a major position in need. But that might be if like the tackles aren't there for us. Like maybe there's a situation where it's, hey, we like all 3 of the top tackles, and then if they're not there, we move back. Or you like some other tackles later on, and you decide to move back and get a position of need, and then, maybe tackles a little less important because they're not supposed to be starting this year. I could see them putting that type of emphasis on that syllable. I don't think that makes sense, but you know what I'm trying to say. I like him. Matthew says, any chance to cut or trade Corey Davis and sign Adam Thielen? Yeah, I think that's really likely. I think that's a very possible outcome here. I think Corey Davis is not going to be on this team next year, whether he's traded or cut. And then I think Thielen would make a ton of sense for this team. I think Odell makes a ton of sense for this team too. I think it would be a free agent wide receiver. So maybe there's a few more that are hanging around. Mid-flare, Green Bean will die on the cross for his third-round picks. I love third-round picks. If you can get comp picks, Green Bean's big on the comp pick formula. I know Matt is too. Those are extra players that you have locked in for 4 years. If you draft well and you allow those players to walk because you have your core players locked in and you allow good players to leave and you continue to draft well, you are going to have a pipeline of players. That's eventually where we're going to want to get to. And if we sign some good players right now and we allow those contracts to expire, we could be looking at some comp picks, maybe after the Rodgers situation. Thomas Cahill, what's up, dude? Says, Ryan, do you think we will be able to sign a top free agent or 2 after Rodgers? I don't think we necessarily need to. I think you look for guys that are hungry for a ring. I wouldn't go for the top-end contract guys. Like, I don't think Thielen's going to cost you a crazy ton. I don't think Odell would necessarily cost you a crazy ton. I would do the same approach we did last year. Like, hey, do you want to be here? You want to try and win a ring? What are you willing to do? We got to try and make this cap work. This is what makes sense for us. I think Joe Douglas is going to have a board and a price guide for each person, and if it matches up, he'll sign him. If not, he'll move on to the next player. Oh, yeah, we got 860 people in here. Hit that like button. I got 100 some odd likes. Come on. Help a dude out. City Bird. How will it go? Twitter, Presser, Medium, Twitch. I think we find out on Twitter first. I would be surprised if we got to the point where we could have a press conference and it has not leaked out that he is officially the guy. There's too many people in the Packers organization, too many people in the Jets organization, and too many people in between all those people to think that this is going to stay quiet. So I would imagine Twitter will be the way we find out. Michael says, Broderick Jones, Parrish Johnson, or Skoronski, who you like the best? I'm fine with either one of them or any of them. I lean towards Broderick Jones specifically because he's in the SEC. He's gone against the toughest defenders in college football consistently for 2 years. Hasn't given up a sack in 2 years. He's favorably compared to DeBrickashaw Ferguson. So that gives me a little bit of happiness. But I think with only 2 years of starting experience, there's still room to grow with Broderick Jones, and he would be the one I'd like to go after of the three of them. But again, if you get any one of them, I'm happy. Dan the Fan. Grew up in Sparta. Sparta's really nice. We were looking at moving to Sparta, but those taxes are crazy. I grew up in Warwick, New York, so like equally high, crazy taxes. But Sparta is really, really nice. I like going there, walking the boardwalk. Crows is a really good restaurant there too. John Holton says, next up will be Mosley and Lawson restructured today. You will see. Yeah, I think those are the next two. Lawson less so than Mosley. Mosley, I think, is definitely a lock to get restructured. $21.5 million salary cap hit is just way, way too high for Mosley. Lawson, it depends on if we need the cap space. I think we could hold on to him if we're not looking to add players, too much. We'll see. I didn't even think of that. Thielen and OBJ are upgrades over Barrios and Davis. Could you imagine a situation where you get Thielen and OBJ? That would be nuts. Ryan, is Thielen still good? Age, injury, etc. So let's pull up his stats. I think he's like 33. Thielen and Packer guys, you can chime in there too. Let us know your thoughts on the on Thielen from this past year or even the last few years. So this past year, he had 6 touchdowns, 716 yards played in every game, had 107 targets and 70 receptions. The year before, had 95 targets, had 67 receptions, almost had the same amount of yardage, 726, had 10 touchdowns. He had 14 touchdowns the year before that with 925 yards and 74 receptions. So the last 3 years, he's basically averaging, 70 receptions, at least 700 yards, and then you're looking somewhere between 6 and 14 touchdowns a year. And I would imagine having Jamar Chase probably takes away a little bit from that. Now maybe Dalvin Cook or maybe like a Breece Hall, a Garrett Wilson, things like that might take a little bit from him here. But if you can get 700 yards and 6 touchdowns out of Thielen, and you're not paying a crazy ton for him, I'm all about it. I don't know as far as like injury history what he's got going on, but it looks like he's relatively healthy. He missed 4 games in 2021. He missed 1 game in 2020, and he missed 6 games in 2019. But other than that, since 2017, he's got 3 complete seasons. I'm not too banged up if a guy misses a game or 2 a year. I think that's pretty common for NFL standards. Aha. Is this the internet? Let's see. Hello.
Hey, I got the door open. I'm gonna stop at Dunkin'. Do you want anything?
Ooh, I would love a coffee. Still no power over there, right?
No.
Ah, rats. That's all right. Yeah, I'll take coffee. User's choice.
Great. See you soon. Bye.
See ya, bye. Ah, rats. That was Becca. Still no power. Still no internet. That's all right. Yeah, NY Jets Florida says Titans cut their center. I think he's going to be a look for us for sure. Ben Jones, he's 33 years old, veteran center. We have their offensive line coach. As long as they have a good report, I think he'll wind up here. I know Taylor Lewan did not like Carter so much, so I don't know if that's like a shared feeling across their offensive line, but I would like to bring in a vet center for not a whole lot. Mosley restructured last year. Yeah, you could restructure him again. As long as you're not taking money away from him and you're giving him either more guaranteed money or pushing guaranteed money around, I don't think he has a problem with that. Dan the fan. Love that you know Crows. Yeah, it's good. I'm a fan of Crows. We did a directors meeting in Sparta just before I went on paternity leave. I can't remember the name of the restaurant there, though. It's the one next to Crows. Phil Adams says, media timing alone, when would create the biggest impact? So the biggest impact, in my opinion, is either going to break Monday morning for the whole news cycle to hit, or it's going to be Sunday and they do like I've been saying 12 p.m. on March 12th. We're going to find out that number 12 for the Green Bay Packers is going to be wearing number 12 for the New York Jets, and Joe Namath is going to unretire that number for him. I would love to see that. It's like the 11-11 magic stuff. I'd like to see it. Robin says, if we get Aaron Rodgers, is a playoff loss considered worth it for all this mayhem? Yeah, I think it is. Now, you certainly don't want to be one and done, and the expectation should be Super Bowl. But I think if you get to, like, let's say the conference championship game, and, something squirrely happens, or, there's an injury, or maybe the other team just, outduels you. Like you had a situation where the Bills and the Chiefs, what was that, the divisional round last year, 2 years ago? Where it was like touchdown. It depends how you lose. If you get smoked in the playoffs, that's going to look a lot worse than losing because of a weird penalty or a funky, fluky play. I think it's all about how you get to your record. I know I was talking to Jake Asman about that too, where it's like, before the season we would have signed up for 7-10, but I would not want that 7-10 where you lose 6 straight at the end of the year. That is a much uglier 7-10 than the other way, where you could have lost some harder games in the beginning of the year when we thought the schedule was going to be harder at the beginning, and then get better towards the end. That's the trajectory you want. But yeah, I think it's still going to be worth it. I think the experience for our young guys alone is pretty good. Anthony D. Ryan, did you leave your wife to fend for herself in the dark? Dude! No, I did not. I guess technically I did. I did.
Yes, you did.
She is at home. Shay was going down for a nap. So I lit a fire. We have a wood burning stove. So I got the house nice and toasty. And Shay was sleeping and Becca was hanging out. So yep. I came here to hang out with you guys. Ricky New York says 49ers center Jake Brendel is a free agent. Very affordable and allowed 2 pressures last year. We need that guy. Ooh, that's good. And then he's played next to Laken Tomlinson, I'd imagine, too. So there's a little bit of chemistry there. That would actually help Tomlinson a lot then. I do not know anything about him, though. Let's look him up. Let's see, 49ers center. Go to Over the Cap, see what they got going on. Jake Brendel. So yeah, he's 30 years old. 6'4", 303 pounds. His valuation last year was a $9 million valuation from Over the Cap. Yeah, I want this guy. That's a home run. Especially because it helps Laken Tomlinson. Yeah, that is 100% where the Jets should be going on this. Forget Ben Jones. Ben Jones is a fallback at that point, I think. Let's see. Did Ben Jones retire? Maybe he didn't. Statistics. They don't even give me a valuation on him anymore on Over the Cap. Interesting. I like that, though. Good find, Richie. I'm a fan. Jake Brendel. Got to remember that name. John says, Ryan, if we cut both Lawson and Davis, that would be a Quinnen contract right there. Yeah, it would, but I would not re-sign Quinnen until closer to training camp. I don't think the Jets are going to do that. They're not going to tie up extra cap space when they're going to gun for a Super Bowl. Like if they feel like they're going to need the cap space from a Quinnen Williams extension to facilitate winning a Super Bowl, I could see them delaying that as much as they can. I do think in August is when we'll find the Quinnen Williams extension. I hope it gets done. I'd like to see that. But that would be a situation where, I think the Jets are going to get Hard Knocks and there's a little bit of drama storyline stuff. So I think deadlines is when things get done. Joe S. Ryan, you better take your wife out after this. I know. I need to. She's going to kill me from the last few days. I've spent way too much time streaming the last few days. And I can't even relax. So us trying to watch a show or a movie, I can't do it. It's bad. It's not good. And I apologize to her. She's like, no, I understand it. She's like, I've never seen you like this. This is a one of one right now. I never normally have this level of anxiety. This is something so special for our fan base. If this ends up happening, we're going to go for a ride. Ricky, you found that over on Jets X Factor. I love it. I love the guys over at X Factor. Blewett, Sabo, Nania. The guys they got writing for him, they're really good. I got to have Blewett on soon. I talked to him the other day. He's working a weird schedule, so I don't know when I can get him on. He's going to come on for the draft for a little bit. Same with Nania and Sabo. Astamar says, do you know the only NFL team with no roughing the passer flags called and led the league in late hits in red zone with no flags called? Detroit, maybe? Detroit's got a great offensive line. No roughing the passer calls. I saw this stat the other day. Which team had no roughing the passer calls? I don't know. I'm actually not sure. You're going to have to let me know that one. Eddie thinks the Bears are getting Hard Knocks. I guess that's possible with Fields. I don't see how you don't give it to Aaron Rodgers and the Jets when they have Sauce and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall coming back. It feels like the Jets are going to run away with Hard Knocks this year. And then I think the Bears will get it in another year, probably. I would be shocked. Vincent says, I don't see any emojis. So you're on Facebook instead of YouTube. YouTube, if someone joins the membership, it's like a $2 a month thing, as high as $2, $5, or $10 a month. You get custom emojis, and that's a YouTube specific thing. Facebook doesn't allow me to do that sort of stuff, which kind of sucks a little bit. Let's see. All right, I see Saucy Jet Pod is going to the Shadow Realm. Next time you do that, you'll be banned from the channel, so please don't do that. I'm not here to do fake news. Thank you very much. Drum Stacks. Take Becca to see Cocaine Bear. She wouldn't go see that. I love bad movies and ridiculous movies and things like that. Becca's I'm not going to waste my time on that. Totally understand. Stephen NYC says, I agree with you totally about this incredible anxiety. Doesn't this just set us up to be completely devastated and left at the altar to satisfy our masochistic needs as Jet fans? Yeah, I think if Rodgers decides to retire, it's going to be so embarrassing for Jet fans and players. Now, it's the right move to go after Rodgers, and it's not Douglas's fault or anyone's fault if Rodgers does retire. But because of how all in on him we were, and we passed on a Hall of Fame quarterback that we thought was in our building and Derek Carr, that's going to be the narrative that the media runs with, and that's going to bug the shit out of me. Tim Wong, thank you so much for coming to the channel. Glad to have you here. Sky Pilot says, Rodgers is enjoying the circus. Yep. Yeah, he definitely is. He's loving the attention. Nick, Ryan, how did you meet Becca? High school. Went to the same high school together. Her brother and I were in the same grade. Same math class for years. Snoopy says, is Rodgers raking us over the coals? I don't think he's raking us over the coals. I hope he's not. If he retires, he definitely is. I'm hoping he's raking the Packers over the coals. That's the hope. Not really the hope. I want it to be both sides be happy. Give us Rodgers for not a whole lot, and we're good to go. Yeah, Ace of Spades, 2% chance he leaves $110 million on the table. That's what would be left out there if Rodgers does decide to retire. Jim says, click the thumbs up, you guys. Thank you so much. HMNI Cadoza says, Sauce was streaming on Twitch and Rodgers texted him. Said he saw the burning of the cheesehead. Oh, man, that's really cool. That's awesome. Ablab! What's up, dude? Good to see you in here. He says, it's all on Aaron Rodgers now. Waiting on him. Are we ready for his pettiness? Yes, I am 100% ready for his pettiness. He can do whatever he wants here. I don't care. I just want good quarterback play. If he can get us like 30 touchdowns and 10 interceptions and 4,000 yards, it's going to be the best season I've ever seen from a Jets quarterback. So, yes. If he can do it, I'm all about it. I hope he's super pissed off because the last time, like I said, he was mad at the Packers and he had our offensive coordinator. He won back-to-back MVPs. So I'm all about it. I don't care how petty he's going to be. After not having a quarterback for so long, I'll take whatever. Christian says, love season about to be crazy. I think he got good. Yeah, I think he's going to be a good quarterback. If you couldn't get Rodgers and Rodgers said, hey, I'm staying in Green Bay for some weird reason, I would try to trade for Love, I think. I just don't think it's probably likely that happens. William says $110 million or retire. Retire. It's the same old Jets. Yep, that's exactly what the media is going to run with. It's going to be, oh, wow, not even the richest quarterback contract in a 2-year span is enough for Aaron Rodgers to go play for the Jets. That's the story that'll get spun, and I don't want it. I don't want that to happen. Fulham, have you got anything planned for when we sign Aaron Rodgers? Not necessarily anything planned. I'm just going to be really excited. I'm going to be really pumped. I just want it to happen. I want it to happen. Camille says, do you think Zach is going to make Rodgers' life hell every day of practice? Because he's pushing him so hard and making him try to be a better quarterback? Yes. I hope so. I hope there's a competition, and I hope he soaks it up and really starts, like, taking it on. Jamie says, I was rewatching the Broncos game today. What a swing in the season 1 hour into that game. Yeah, dude, as soon as AVT and Brees went down, like, that game, while it was a win, very much felt like a loss. That was not a good day. You kind of had a feeling that was going to be the end of the season at that point. That's why we traded for James Robinson. I think the impact of the optics of trading for James Robinson was more important than the player himself. I think for the rest of the team, Douglas going out and saying, hey, we're not giving up. Like, we're going to get this guy. I I think that said a lot to the locker room. It didn't work out because we didn't have the quarterback play to make up for the loss of talent of AVT and Brees Hall. Raymond, thank you for the super chat. Says Aaron Rodgers going to make that decision for the weekend agent right away. I think he's going to. I don't know. Does he make it today? Tomorrow? He's gonna want as many. He's going to want as many eyes on him as possible. Oh, yeah, I forgot I had a poll question going. 1,000 votes. Exactly 1,000 votes. Does Rodgers trade happen today? 51% of you say yes. 49% of you say no. The only reason I would lean no on this is because the media cycle isn't going right now. And I don't know if it's better to have it drop now so we are talking about it and Rodgers kind of stops the number 1 overall pick talk of his division rival Bears. And then it's the internet buzzing, and then he'll get the week of notice during the season. But I think if he announces it then, it's going to be like breaking news, and it's going to be on every single news outlet. It's going to go through the roof with engagement. I think the Jets are cool with it being announced on Monday because Woody likes those headlines as well. I mean, heck, I think we all like the headlines if we can get them and they're positive. I like seeing our Jets. Mike says, Green Bay already decided to move on from Aaron Rodgers. He has 2 choices, play for the Jets or retire. I believe that he wants to give some of the players that he's been with to come with him. Yeah, I think that's possible too. Now, Aaron Rodgers can just say, I'm not retiring, and then the Packers are like, okay, but what are we doing? Are they just going to, trade him for whatever they can get? And Rodgers is just going to be like, oh, I can't believe you traded me. Like, I don't know. I think it is trade or retire because I don't think Rodgers is going to want to, sit on the bench behind, in Green Bay or get cut at some point. Like, that doesn't seem right. He'll wind up getting moved. Vicky Lynn! Shaver, thank you so much for subscribing. Glad to have you aboard. Dante, for everybody and you, what is the honest difference between the play of Carr, Tannehill, or Garoppolo? I'll go. Those 3 names are so very similar in terms of play. Yeah, I agree. I think they're all going to get similar contracts too. I think Tannehill stays in Tennessee. He'll restructure, drop his cap hit if he hasn't already. Garoppolo, I think, gets right around the same contract as Carr. You might see Garoppolo get like $30 million a year. That would be my guess. Whoa, Ablab! Thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. He said he is going to wait till Monday because he wants all eyes on him. The press conference is on Wednesday. Yeah, I think the more I think about it, the more Monday feels like the day. That's what I think happens. In which case, I know I have work on Monday. I have a meeting, but the laptop's coming with me. So you may see me at work at some point. You're like, hey, boss, I'm clocking out. Aaron Rodgers stuff. We got things going on. Sorry, dude. I think it happens Monday. I agree with you, Ablab. At this point. A part of me does kind of want it to happen on Sunday so you get the 12-12-12-12-12 thing going on. That would be really cool to see. Rob V says if Rodgers was not going to be a Jet, he would have already told us to move on or he wasn't interested. He's weird, not a scumbag. Yeah, he's an odd duck, but I don't think he's necessarily an asshole. I think he just believes in what he believes in, and, I think he likes getting a rise out of the media, which, I'll be honest, if I was a really good player and was able to do that without having too much blowback because my play supported it, I would probably do the same thing. I think it's fun to screw with the media. Andrew says, if Rodgers throws 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 4,400 yards and takes us to the promised land, are we going to be talking about this wait? We might look back on it and realize how stressful it was, but we're going to be so pumped. I can't get with the fans that are like, oh, screw this, you got to pivot off Rodgers right now. Whatever. I think they're so in the Rodgers camp that, if you think you can, if all the other quarterbacks that you would sign are all comparable, like that other comment that I brought up before about Tannehill, Carr, and Garoppolo, if you think there's not a whole lot of difference between someone like a Brissett, someone like a Minshew, someone like a Garoppolo. You could throw some other names out there, I'm sure, as well. But if you think there's not a whole difference in what you're possibly getting, I don't see a reason why you can't wait. Because the cap hits aren't too bad. I don't want to wait. I think that would be really, really frustrating. I hope the Jets can actually make a trade, and then even if the Packers want it for cap ramifications, like if the trade can be agreed upon in principle, and it's like, hey, he's going to the Packers, it'll become official on June 1st, so that way, or he's going to the Jets, it'll be official on June 1st, so that way the Packers save some cap hit. Maybe that happens. But I think if you get this stat line, you get 35-7 with 4,400 yards, Jets are winning a Super Bowl, 100%. I don't want to say I'm confident, but like I'm confident. Surf! Smartest move Woody could make would be to extend Joe Douglas now. He's arguably the best GM in the league. I think he's definitely our best GM that I've ever seen, for sure. And I think there's probably... I could see there being some, like, I don't want to say backdoor kind of deal, but like a, if Woody Johnson went to Douglas and said, if they were equally on Carr and Rodgers, if there was some sort of situation like that, which I don't think there was a disagreement at all. But maybe there's a situation where they say like, hey, look, no one's getting fired if you go after Rodgers. Cool. They're like, hey, like, let's go for it. Like, I'm not going to hold you to the flames because you swung for a Super Bowl. I don't know if that's necessarily the conversation that was probably happening, but I would extend Douglas. I think he's really good. Maybe you wait till after the draft and you see how this draft plays out and how free agency goes. I think he's got another year, so they might see how the season goes, and then you re-sign him for a long-term deal. I can't imagine Joe Douglas walking away from this team after he's built it. It's just a matter of paying the guy. And Woody Johnson, he's got deep pockets. Douglas's money does not count against the salary cap, so pay him whatever you want. Make him the highest paid GM. I don't care. JC says, once he signs, nobody will care about the wait. The new narrative will be Super Bowl or bust. Personally, I say just win your division and go from there. Yeah, if you can win your division and you get a home game in the playoffs, now it starts getting interesting. Because depending on where you are in the bracket, just by having a home team, there's 3 wildcard teams that don't have home games, at the very least. And if you're higher up in the the pecking order of the seeding, you're more likely to have other home games in the playoffs. So you don't necessarily need the 1 seed, but yeah, winning your division and getting a home game, that's really important. I just want to get to the playoffs. I don't even care if we get a home game. I hope we do, but if we don't, I'm fine with just getting to the playoffs. Mike Healthy Life says, I'm thinking it's going to be a post-June 1 trade. It helps the Packers with space. Yep, it's like they get a $15 million dead cap hit if he's traded after June 1st. So it like makes a ton of sense to do it then. So as long as they can come out and announce like, hey, this trade is going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is all in on it. We are going to make it official then. But we are operating under the fact that he is our quarterback and he is tied in. If the Packers go back on this trade or if Aaron Rodgers retires, maybe there's some ridiculous like compensation or trade kind of stuff that could happen as far as almost like the Favre Minnesota, like 3 first-round picks sort of thing. I could see something like that. Let's see, what else were we saying in there? It helps the Packers too much space. It also allows us not to have to trade so much. I agree with that. The Rams trade in the extra first pick so Detroit could eat cap. Yeah, I would eat some cap. Oh, hello. Hey. What's up?
Daddy.
Hey. Look. Look, see, it's the people from the cockpit. Yeah. Shay's not feeling so good. We got a little cold. Yeah, we got a little runny nose. Yeah, been 3 days at daycare and already not feeling so great. You want to go back to Gma? Hello. Oh no. You're gonna get a little waz.
She's not feeling well.
Oh, poor girl. If you need help, I'll hop off too.
Yeah, you could do that.
All right, let's. What do we got? I'm gonna end this at an hour and a half, so we got 5 minutes left. So let's do that. We'll talk this, and then hopefully I get some internet back, and or power back, and we'll hop back a little bit later. Let's see. Ricky says he just drafted Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year in the same year. He'll have the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I bet he would get Comeback Player of the Year for Breece Hall. I think that's going to happen. JD is going nowhere, as it should be. Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's going anywhere. Mark Riss, Dad Talk 24/7. Jennifer says she stopped crying when she saw Daddy. Oh, come here.
Mama walked away.
I'll take you for a little bit, kid.
Okay.
All right, let's see what's going on. Look, there's some colors on the screen here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's fun. All right, what we got? What we got going on here? Tim Wong, one of our newest subscribers, just says, just saying, if we had Rodgers in 2022, our record would have been 12-5. Would have beaten the Pats twice, the Vikings, and the Lions. I think it's entirely possible you beat like the Jaguars. I think you probably you could have beat the Bills maybe. I think the Jets are probably closer to 13 wins with a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Fatigue, Becton, Comeback Player of the Year, book it. Yeah, if he has a really good year, could you imagine Breece Hall like getting really frustrated? Could have won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Mekhi Becton has a great year, and then like he wins Comeback Player of the Year instead of Becton or instead of Breece because he's been out for 2 years. I guess that would be interesting. I would hope Breece would get it though. I think when you're an offensive lineman, it's tough to get Comeback Player of the Year because you're not as highlighted as a skilled player. Phil Adams, she's a real daddy's girl. Yeah, she's my buddy. Yeah. Christopher says, I want Aaron badly. I just hope and pray he isn't a bad influence on the young guys in the locker room. I don't think he will be. I think there's going to be some aspect of like teaching us how to win because we're a team that hasn't really had that type of leadership. Like CJ Mosley is here, and we've brought in guys like a CJ Uzoma and a DJ Reed, guys that have had success with other teams, but no one has any level of success like Aaron Rodgers. No one that we've ever had, at least. Texas Toast says, Shay wants Rodgers news. Yep. Yeah, she's hoping for it. She's like, Dad, I just want to hang out. You got to stop doing this stuff. I know. Phil says, Shay is a true Jets fan. Maybe her first words are going to be Jets, 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 Jets. I think that might be a little tough. I don't think she'll get that the first time, but it's possible. Let's move this down so you see her a little bit more. Bam. Daniel, I'm a UK fan. Tell me more about the Jets and then future of the club. Oh, I can tell you a whole bunch about it. Are you a Jet fan or are you just a UK football fan that you're possibly thinking of becoming a Jet fan? Because I'll pitch you the Jets. We have a long history of sadness, lots of blunders, but it's turning around possibly if we get Aaron Rodgers. Probably the most impactful, player we could be bringing in any capacity in our history. So hopefully you like the Jets. Rich says, hit that like button for Shay. Yeah, if you like this one and you want Aaron Rodgers news to drop, hit the like button. S-H-E-A, Shay, Shay, Shay. I like it. She steals the show every time she hops on. Anyone think Rodgers is in here watching all of this? I would like to believe so. I'm going to pretend for my own ego that Aaron Rodgers is in here. And he's just like, haha, we'll see what happens. I'm going to wait till he's not live, and then I'm going to drop the news. That's what's going to happen. Ah, there you go. Daniel says he's a Jet fan. Don't worry. There you go. Yeah, the future of Jets talk is much prettier than than me. Get some on-camera action. HMNI Cadoza says, Jets certainly aware of our media presence. Talking about like the online stuff? I hope so. I hope there's, some knowledge. I get a little like, be nice if they asked me to do some stuff. But they really like Twitter, the Jets do. I think it's because, it's smart to do that because anyone that retweets stuff, it amplifies the Jets message as opposed to me putting out a message about the Jets where it may not necessarily be as clear and concise. And you can kind of track all that engagement from their side of things. So I get why they like Twitter. But I wish they would show some love to the YouTube guys. We are just as much diehards. Kyle says, when do you think the decision comes? I'm going to say Monday. Gut feeling. It'll be right when the media is like churning and everyone's like, really excited about stuff that's happening. Then it's going to be like Aaron Rodgers news. Can Rodgers put up at least 30 to 40 touchdowns and 4,000 to 5,000 yards? Yeah, I absolutely think he can. I think he's going to be pissed off and he's going to play at a high level. NY Jets Superfan says, Ryan, prediction on what to do with Mosley, Lawson, and Whitehead. I would hold on to Whitehead until after the draft. I would try to draft his replacement, but I don't want to cut him and create the appearance of a gap in our safety room because then that telegraphs who we're going to select. So I would hold on to him at least till the draft until you find a replacement, or I'd restructure him after the draft and try to keep him. As far as Lawson, I think he's probably going to be cut because it makes room for Jermaine Johnson, Michael Clemens, Bryce Huff, all those guys to get more playing time. I wouldn't mind having him back because I do like Lawson a lot, and I think he's going to have a much better season this year than he has the last few years because he's a year removed from the Achilles injury. As far as C.J. Mosley, I think he's definitely going to restructure, and I think the Jets should just approach him and say, hey, look, we want you to retire a Jet. Let's knock down this cap hit. Let's have you, the next 2 years. Let's get this done. Rob V says, didn't C.J. Mosley restructure already? C.J. Uzama restructured already. There was a tweet out that was like a little goofy that they said Lawson, or they said Mosley. Q says, Garrett Wilson, floor, 100 receptions, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns with A-Rod. Yeah, he had, 1,100 yards with, no quarterback for 6 weeks? It's incredible. Robert says, Lawson was coming off a serious injury. Yeah, I think that's why you hope to maybe keep Lawson. I saw your comment a little bit earlier. You're down with keeping Lawson, too. I think it just depends if you need the cap space. If you don't need the cap space and you can restructure Lawson, I'm about keeping good players. Jerome says, Shea is in complete control. This kid is 10 out of 10. He's so well behaved. All right, let me close this out. So basically, Jets have restructured. DJ Reed, Tyler Conklin, Laken Tomlinson have created $15.2 million in salary cap space right now. The Jets are sitting somewhere around $14 million in salary cap space, according to over the cap, because the contracts haven't all hit just yet. Yeah. But the Jets can create a lot more cap space, can create a whole lot more. Rodgers cap hit, if he does come in, $15.74 million. We're right at that number. All right, let's go. I got to go do some dad things. So, boys and girls, it was fun. I will probably hop back over a little bit later today. Hopefully there's some more Jet news that we could wind up having. And hopefully I have power later. So I'm not satellite. As always, boys and girls. Yeah, go Jets.
I think every single person in this locker room is a competitor at the highest level. So, yeah, when you feel as if your backs are against the wall, you never have to feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Unbelievable throw. Under pressure. Sacked by Quinnen Williams. Right sideline, Uzama's got it.
You look to your left and your right, you got guys out there with you that our whole point is to help each other.
This one to Mims. That's Corey Davis climbing the ladder.
To be able to go out and lead these guys, just to know how hard these guys work and how important it is to them, and then you get that chance to lead them. everything that happened that needed to happen for us, it almost felt like kind of like a sign, like get like a second chance almost.
Gets extra pushes, running left.
Maybe a little extra life to breathe in the locker room.
Touchdown Jets.